Good evening, everybody. This is the lovely Fictional Crystals coming to you alive with my review of Know Your Fusion. My reaction to this episode is exactly the same as Garnet's reaction to Smoky Quartz. I always adore episodes by Hilary and Lauren. And episodes with my second favourite fusion, Sardonyx. Plus we get to see sweet little Smoky Quartz again. Steven is actually very good at fusion. He didn't even need to do a fusion dance with Amethyst. Their personalities mesh well together. They are very stable and hardly have any extra limbs. Though I have noticed both of Steven's fusions have doubts about themselves. Stevonnie has anxiety and Smoky has insecurities. The more feminine side of both Stevonnie and Smoky seems to take over the fusion's looks and voice. But Steven's personality still shines through. I noticed when Steven fused into Smoky this time, he glowed along with Amethyst, but when Smoky defused the first time, Amethyst was glowing but he was not. What if this means Steven is becoming more of a full gem by fusing with Amethyst, like the way Jasper became a corrupted gem by fusing with a corrupted gem? Or it could just be the fact that these two episodes were done by different storyboarders with different styles. In fact, they were done by different storyboarders. That's probably it. Sardonyx's height does fluctuate a lot too, after all. Speaking of Sardonyx, she was great in this episode. She wasn't really needed, like Pearl and Garnet didn't need to fuse into her, but I'm not complaining, I love Sardonyx. Sardonyx showed us that fusions have their own separate rooms from their base gems. Which got me thinking, when Garnet defuses, does the burning room disappear? But then what happens to the bubbled gems? Would Ruby and Sapphire's rooms not exist while Garnet's around? Anyway, Sardonyx's room is a talk show, which is perfect for her and Smoky. Literally, the minute I saw Smoky, I thought their personality was exactly like Sardonyx, except they were a bit more insecure. And I wanted them to have a talk show together, which they ended up doing, so that's a dream come true. I loved how Sardonyx was just magically whipping stuff up from thin air, including the crowd. Her accent is perfect. The way she said Alexandrite, just yes. And that anime laugh. Sardonyx's personality is nothing like Ruby, Sapphire, or Pearl's. She really is her own person. But if I had to choose a base gem that she's most like, I'd go with Sapphire for some reason. Okay, hear me out. I know Sapphire's quiet, but Ruby has called her Laffy Saffy before, and that's got to mean something. Plus she does have an anime laugh as we saw in Hit the Diamond. I just feel like if we got to know her a bit better, we would see that she's actually really funny. Garnet's got to get those jokes from somewhere, am I right? Plus, Pearl and Ruby are really, really bad at acting compared to Sardonyx, and Sardonyx has got to get those skills from someone. The whole point of Sardonyx's show is to find out things about Smoky Quartz. Something both Steven and Amethyst have in common that their fusion amplifies. Surprise, it's self-doubting insecurities covered in puns. But self-confident Sardonyx doesn't get that, so she sets up a bunch of fourth wall breaking games. This part killed me. Donnie was smashing down all those fourth walls with her big warhammer. She used clips of the other fusions that said footage courtesy of Cartoon Network. And that mention of Sugilite. She's never gonna speak on the show again since she's voiced by Nicki Minaj, is she? The Opal-themed game said hit that bird, and I was half expecting Smoky to hit Sardonyx's nose. And for the Alexandrite-themed game, Sardonyx was expecting Smoky to breathe fire, even though that's one of Ruby's powers, and Ruby was in Sardonyx at that point. Though I guess their name is Smoky, which is kind of like fire. In the end, Sardonyx realizes she stole the show away from Smoky Quartz, which causes her to defuse. And can I mention there was a brief through fire moment when they defused which made me so happy? So Sardonyx's room starts to crumble away since Sardonyx is no longer there. And Smoky has to save Pearl and Garnet, which in the end causes them to defuse. Finally, the episode finishes with Garnet asking for a play-by-play of what happened in the kindergarten, which is kind of a callback to Kindergarten Kid when Garnet tells Pearl they don't need a play-by-play. Earlier in the episode, there was also a reference to the answer. But now, the summer of Steven is over, isn't it? There isn't a hiatus yet though, cause we now got weekly episodes.